We are live here today for session number 5 with the brilliant and super inspiring Stacy, truth teacher. Welcome, welcome. We're so excited to have you here today and share your beyond inspiring 5D expansion in so many ways that I should just let you share, please inspire all the women.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Solara. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited to share my story with all of you because like we were just talking, behind the scenes, it's been actually less than a year that we've been working together, and the amount of success in not only my business, but in my relationships and in all areas of my life, fulfillment has just gone through the roof. So a little bit about my past. So when I met Solara, I was very unhappy in my real estate career. I had built that to 7 figures and felt very trapped, stuck in it. I knew that I had something else on my heart and I wanted to, transition into my purpose work, but kept getting stuck, in the ruts of the how and how do I, make the transition. And I remember, I reflect on it a lot, actually. I met Solara, and this applies to all of you that are in this masterclass this week. I met her, and it wasn't clear at first how I was going to work with her, but I knew that I was in her presence, and so I was to work with her. And so, started on that journey and very quickly, was able to see what wasn't working in the real estate business so that I could transition into the new. And so last year, went through a lot of the deep work, this is what I want, this is what it looks like. And first part of this year, had a wonderful retreat in Sedona with you, and was able to break through some patterns that were actually beyond what I could comprehend. It was beyond this lifetime. It was the first time I had been exposed to, past life work in that way, and had some things revealed to me that allowed me to fix some things in my life that no matter how many coaches I had tried to work with, they couldn't help me. And I think that probably resonates with a lot of you out there, because as high performing women, we're always looking for our next level. How can we level up, and who can help us get there? And the work with Solara is the only time that I've worked with a coach that it hasn't been a Band-Aid. It actually went to the root and the truth of what was going on. And you're able to work through things so quickly because of that approach from that higher level of consciousness, the 5D way. So anyway, I had that amazing experience and decided to take that sharp right turn. I actually came back late January and, told my real estate team that I was going to transition into this new work. And I had no idea how that was going to look, really, because I didn't have the, person that was going to take over my role specified at that time, but I just knew I had to make that decision. And that's when everything just started rolling. So made that decision. And then I was contacted by a woman that is like the closest match that I could, have to my energy and production in the real estate company. She reached out and wanted to join forces. And so we did that alignment, and then started the journey with the consulting business, and came back to Sedona and had that amazing experience. And from there, it's just been bonkers with the consulting business. I mean, just to the point where we're re-engineering our whole business model, because I'm almost at max capacity after literally less than 2 months after working with you. So just an incredible journey that I've totally summarized. I could take the whole week to talk about, but yes.
So I just want to touch on one point that was so poignant that I think everybody that's listening here today can probably relate to. And it's that you were at the cliff. You knew that your higher purpose work was calling you. You had already built a 7-figure business, and something over here was so strong, and you took the courage and the faith to jump out without a safety net.
Yes.
You really did that without a safety net. And then what happened is that the universe immediately showed up to match you in that huge leap of faith. And just in practical terms, because you didn't share it yet, I mean, what that looks like for Stacy is that right out of the gate, because of all the inner work that you did, you started off as a, can I say what you're targeting, or you go ahead and say it yourself?
Yes. You mean with the consulting business?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right out of the gate, 10,000 a month for my one-to-one clients. And then, the other group coaching is 3,500 a month, 42,000 a year. So 100,000 to work with me one-on-one base, 120,000 for most clients, and then 42,000 for the group coaching. Yeah. And I have a whole nother point on that. I get excited.
Well, the thing is, I want to also let everybody know that in that process, you accelerated everything, because when you first came, you came in with the 2 strands of DNA, and your acceleration was pretty profound, I have to say, because you left with 6 strands activated, and then you came again and had 2 more. So, really everything that we've been teaching all week and releasing those programs of self-sabotage, all the release needed to happen for you to activate those strands. And it was when that activation happened that immediately after, the clients, the right people, everything started pouring in. I mean, even the second time you came, that was part of your testimonial. Why don't you share what happened? She's like texting me. Why don't you share with them?
Yeah. So after I had the last visit with you, within 4 days, I had signed $320,000 worth of clients in 4 days. That's a mix of the group coaching and the one-on-one clients. And what's so interesting, and this can also help a lot of you, is that the work with Solara isn't just, working through the limiting beliefs. It's also honing in on the little things. For example, your pricing. A lot of you may be wanting to increase your prices, like Solara talks about. And if your pricing is off by $1,000 or $2,000 a month, that could mean no clients for you. Like, that's how big and impactful her work is. And so keeping that in mind, if you're thinking about that, that's a whole nother way that, working with the Mystique Elite can really support you.
Oh, yeah. So, I probably think that there's some women here that, they're feeling this pull. And actually, you might be feeling that with every fiber of your being, that, you kind of want to be like Stacy. I would, if I listened to this story, or how you heard this morning, Kate, like what she's up to doing in the world. And at the same time, you're feeling that pull, but you're also feeling the fear of, will this work for me? And I've hired all these other coaches. So Stacy, is there, because I know Stacy also, why don't you share a little bit actually about what you do, because your work is very profound, and what you have to say about that.
Yeah. So the work that I do is, very much about identifying any suffering or shackles that, a woman has placed on herself, and releasing those in a very rapid, radical way so that she can break free to produce, to have the business life, everything that she wants. And what's really interesting for me is I had done the rounds. I mean, all the coaches, mindset, business strategy, all of the things. And you probably can resonate with this, where it's like you hire all of these coaches and you almost feel like you don't put it into place because it's not hitting the mark. Like, you sign up because you get excited. It's on mindset or the thing that you think you have a problem with. But the thing about working with Solara that is so unique is that her ability to channel what's in your highest and best good and what you need to hear is such a complementary piece to the curriculum that's offered, that it is it is so different, and it makes it so that all of those other things, it's all the other coaches, all of that, those things are more of like a Band-Aid. And I think that's part of why a lot of us are frustrated, or, just underwhelmed by the experiences out there and feeling like, gosh, I don't want to do another coaching program because, like, what's the point?
Actually, let's get some hearts, because I want to see the feedback. How many of you are feeling that you've invested? I actually should change the word, because there's always an investment, right? And you still feel like something is missing. I've been there myself. I think we've all been there.
Yes. Yeah. And what's really missing is the connection to truth, and connection to the 5D realm, because when, you can work with someone like her, and it's really not someone like her, like, work with her, because I, on the market, have not experienced another resource or solution like this. It's so much more than mindset work. And, while you might be thinking, oh, what's the point? Or I'm not going to sign up for something else, or you can't see how it's going to unfold for you. What you have to, connect to is, like, what is it that you're actually wanting? And what is it that you're actually, wanting to achieve? And see that this piece, like, there's a reason, like you talk about, there's a reason why you're here, all of you that are in this mastermind. That is something you need to listen to. Your higher self, your guidance is leading you here for a reason. And this solution is just so much more than mindset. It is transmuting the suffering, the old, into your strength and what you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm.
And, it's really interesting, because I think something that comes up as well is, is the time for me now?
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot in the comments, and I know what, I'll say what I think about that. And, I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, Stacy. And it's that, if you're here right now with us, you're here for a reason at this particular moment in time, because you're being called, like somebody's posting, to open your divine flow now, not 2 months from now, not a year from now. Your time is now, because you are here right now. And so, like Stacy was so beautifully sharing earlier, it's when you step off the cliff and it feels so scary, because it feels like there's no safety net, that immediately it's almost like you're swooped and taken care of, and how magically everything shows up. You have more examples of that? Because I could have so many.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I first want to just make the distinction that, making a leap like this, making a decision to invest in yourself in this program and in this way is no different than the uncertainty of walking out the front door. We just put a different meaning to it, right? And so at the end of the day, when you make the decision and you say yes, you are getting in alignment with the true you. And you could call it your future self, because if you all would just take a moment and ask yourself, your future self, if it was me 10 years from now, what would I do? You would say yes. And so therefore that's your answer. And that's why you're being called. And I think there's so many examples of how this, has shown up. One of them for me recently was making the decision to leave my real estate company. And at that moment, 15 years of my work could have crumbled. Everyone could have left.
Well, you actually didn't mention that you were so fed up with it that you were ready to completely walk away from it. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Very, very clearly. Yeah. And that's, I was at a point where I was done. My soul was calling me, and I was willing to face those consequences if those were the consequences. But there is a better, bigger plan, right? That you can have both. And I think that's a limiting thought many of us have, of like, I don't want to go all in on my business because I'll, risk my relationship or replay that in any way. Or, and what you have to know is like your higher purpose and everything that's waiting for you, you get to have both, and it gets to be magic with a K. And in my real estate team example, when I had made that decision, I also didn't mention that the woman that ended up joining my team, that is like, honestly, she's a better solution than I ever was in real estate, because she loves real estate more than I ever did. I mean, she's obsessed with it. But she and I actually talked last July, which I didn't mention. And we were talking about joining forces at that time. And it wasn't the time because I was, still in the muck of trying to decide. But you can see that already crossed my path. And then fast forward, talking about that again in January, that was my time. And so the question of like, is now my time? How do you know it's your time? It's showing up. And if you don't listen, there are other ways that the universe is going to go, okay, this person is not listening, so I'm not going to keep giving them opportunities because they're not interested. And so it's so important when you get those nudges, when you get opportunities to be in a masterclass like this and have the opportunity to work with Solara in the way that she's proposing, that is a nudge. And you need to listen to that, because behind the door of this next step is limitless. It is more financial abundance, and it's actually getting in alignment with the real you, which is more important than all the money in the world.
Yeah, actually, you know what I'd love to do right now before we continue is everybody pull out your workbook, because I really want you to tap into, because I was just getting goosebumps when you were sharing that, Stacy, and it's, what is the ultimate consequences of you continuing to feel unfulfilled? What do you think would have happened for you, Stacy, if you had stayed as the CEO of your real estate company?
Well, I definitely would have, lost the opportunity to work with my husband, because we worked together. We could have even ended up separating because it was such a purgatory of indecision. And that's just something for you all to think about too, is indecision is the worst place to be. It's, you're not only stuck in that, but energetically, there's so many consequences in that. And so I would say, experiencing that unfulfilled, not being fulfilled, but also my relationships being affected, because I was, frankly, not that fun to be around at that point.
Yeah. I can relate to that when I was still in, being an architect and sitting in front of the computer. And it was like, I was a very unhappy person. And everybody around me could feel it. And it just simply comes down to that. And on the other side, if you flip to page 10, what is the ultimate reward of activating your superhuman feminine potential? When we were in the backstage, you were sharing with me even other things that are starting to pop up from you saying yes to your iconic work. And actually, before you share that, I just want to go back to something you mentioned, because I think this is so, so important to reiterate. When you say yes to your iconic work, like Stacy just shared, the person that is their iconic work to take over the real estate immediately showed up. And so then what happened is that you were in your position and she's in her position. And so not only has your coaching business, consulting taken off, what has happened with your real estate business?
Yeah, that's the other super fun thing. So we were contacted to represent a community of 4,000 homes to represent that.
Let's take that in for a second, because you say it as if 4,000 homes.
And that's not all. There's been another one came up today, another 350 homes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So it's just, it's continuing, and all of these opportunities, and my relationship with my husband over just in the last week has completely gone to this different. It feels like I'm in a different world. Areas where I would, just like want him to cook dinner more, or just the little things, but I don't, want to necessarily nag him or ask. And he's done more in the last week. I literally am blown away. And then the last year, he's like washing all of our windows, planting trees. It's like literally it sounds like I'm watching, it feels like I'm watching a movie in a way. And it is a movie of this like intentional, fully connected life. And that is what awaits for all of you, is like when you are connected to the true you do your iconic work, your relationships flower, your heart flowers, and there's a different playing field than stress and hustle and pushing. It's this beautiful flow that exists.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. What was the difference about the way you were operating the real estate business before the hustle and the third dimensional paradigm versus the way that you are now operating the consulting? And still, as obviously you're still in the real estate here and there, I know it's very minimal compared to what it was, but can you just talk a little bit about what that difference is in your upgrading, what I call your spiritual operating system?
Yes, absolutely. So in my real estate company, it was always very stressful. I mean, even getting to appointments, it was always, even though, it was maybe externally there wasn't stress, like internally, it was always like almost like a pressure cooker. It was like rushing, even though, I mean, it's a hustle and bustle that was very much present. It was very much from a financial standpoint, like working so hard and just feeling like I could never stop, frankly, because if I stopped, it was like, there's just so much fear and so much, stress in that. A lot of times, I'd work so much and just feel like I wasn't, receiving like what I really wanted, or the amount of value that was like really meant for me. And compared to how it is with the consulting, it's literally opposite. And what's funny is today I did some real estate dealings and I was running late to one of the meetings, and I felt, it was almost like I was observing and felt the old 3D world of like rushing. And I chuckled a little bit just because I almost felt like I was embodying this new reality, but I was entering this world, and it was completely different, but it's only because I wasn't engaging in it because I don't want to, right? And so I think from a like financial standpoint, there were like leaks in the boat where I would like make money, but like financially it wasn't ever where I wanted it to be. And it's because of this conflict of, the pushing and the hardness of it. It's almost like, money doesn't want to stay with you in a sense because you're out of alignment. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. And so with, the new company, it's like money just wants to flow in and stay and hang out because I'm pleasant to be around. And so that's true for the relationships as well, but it's very different, very different.
It is so fascinating because I've seen that for years now, actually. And I was actually in that same place where we impregnate an energy to money because we're not in love with what we're doing. So that negativity is actually imprinted on money, and it shows up through either leaking or highs and lows or just not making what you want to make. And it is so fascinating to see that when you are in absolute love and joy with what you're doing, you're actually imprinting that energy on money as well. Like Stacey says so beautiful, it's like it's hanging out now.
Yes, it's so true. I mean, that was exactly what's happening. And here's the bigger picture of all of this, because we all want to make an impact and we all want to really help people. When you are able to achieve these states and really step into who you're supposed to be, your presence alone affects your relationship so much that they then experience those differences just by you sharing a little bit of your story. So I know we all want to create that ripple effect, and it's truly possible when you tap into this playing field.
And I know you are creating a pretty amazing ripple effect with the women that you're now working with. I'd like to ask you something else, actually, because you're a coach, and I know there's a lot of women in here that are coaches or CEOs, so they're team leaders. So what has changed in your coaching and you being a CEO and team leader, because you've changed so much?
Oh, wow. I'm like, that's a loaded question because so much has changed. So, the biggest thing has been, from the team perspective, bringing a level of awareness to my team. And just a quick example is, with one of my assistants, bringing it to her attention that if she can actually set the intention to focus on the highest and best good of everyone involved before she gets on a phone call, how that dynamic changed. And she had evidence happen yesterday that was so profound with one of our vendors that she will forever be changed because of that. And so I think those kinds of things are at the forefront of my operating system. So that's instead of, if someone made a mistake or something like that, it's like, oh, this isn't working, they're bad or something. Like it's so much bigger than that now. And then I think as far as the consulting is concerned, it's really just recognizing this opportunity and duty that I have. And I think that's something that's important for all of the women in this group to realize is, because you're here, you are being called for a reason. It's your responsibility to do something with it because you have so much great work to do. And like Solara taught me early on, like, if I don't take action on my dreams, I'm actually punishing the women that I'm supposed to serve. And that is so heavy because the women need you and they need to hear your story and they need to hear what you teach. And so, I think what has changed in the consulting is just really, making sure that value piece, like every woman understands they're investing in themselves in such an elevated way. And when that thought process is cleared and it's, that thought process is really embodied, you're unstoppable. And that's what we all want. We want to create this, this success and this magic in our lives. And it's possible if you step into this and you say yes to all of you.
Oh, who says yes to saying all of you? I'd love to see some heart with that one. So I'd love to ask you a parting question, which is in the workbook, to see if that, your answer gives some inspiration and turns on some light bulbs. I mean, I know you've turned on a lot of light bulbs already. I feel like my ring light is even brighter shiner because of our conversation. In the workbook, we have this question and we want everybody to answer, what is the ultimate reward of activating your superhuman feminine potential and therefore all your power? What do you feel like that is? What's the answer? And there could be more than one answer, right?
Yeah, I'm getting a little emotional because the ultimate reward is to be in divine co-creation. And that's, excuse me, that's talked about a lot, right? Like, it sounds like a great idea to co-create with God, have God as your business partner. But this is like the real deal. And the ultimate reward is to live in this state that isn't a fleeting state. It's a state that you enjoy the majority of the time, of being in bliss and enlightenment and joy. And while those are, tangible rewards where you can, feel them and experience them every day, there is this divine co-creation that awaits all of you. And that is truly the ultimate reward, to make your legacy bigger than you could imagine, and also live in such a beautiful state and impact all the people that you're here to serve.
That is our mission, right? Ed and I were sharing that, and I think all the women that we're surrounded with, they have this big mission, and they feel this responsibility because that you have a gift and there's something very important here to do. And I actually want to ask you the next question in the workbook before we go, because I want to hear your perspective. What kind of challenges do you foresee could manifest in your life as you up-level your DNA? What kind of challenges? So I see a lot, but I want them to hear it from our clients, because it makes a big difference when it comes from you directly.
Yeah. I love that you asked this question because I was doing my homework prior to this call, and that's the one question that I really honed in on actually in the workbook. So, you know, the biggest challenges are what I like say is like catching the thief in the night, because you start to experience these enlightened states, these higher states of consciousness, and something very small can sneak in one day and there's a little doubt there or shame, but it's like a next level of it. It's different than what you experienced before. So it's almost like the challenges of the, you know, activating your strands. It's understanding what these new faces look like that are coming to distract you in a way. So, you know, an example is just being more aware of the starting point of like what happened this last week that, you know, all of a sudden I got to this state and I started feeling off or whatever. And so just really digging into that. So I think that in more intense level of housekeeping, which can be a challenge just because sometimes they're like a thief in the night. They kind of sneak up on you. But the other thing is, you know, living in the world and the energies, and like you and Ed talking about, like you don't watch TV and stuff. There are a lot of situations that can just impact that state and throw you off. And so I just think more and more creating that bubble that's true for you. For me, it's being very aware and selective of who I'm meeting up with. You know, before I would meet up with those friends, you know, for coffee that I really didn't have interest in. But now that actually impacts the bubble. And so I think just that maintenance of the bubble, I know it's not really a challenge. It's more of like a maintenance, but I would say that's it.
Oh, you definitely have changed your bubble. I love the term, the maintenance of your bubble, and and having people that are really supporting your bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, Stacy, is you are, such in support of other women building their queendom. That that's something also really, really beautiful that I want everybody to know about you. Everybody out there in the world needs to know that. Because it's so wonderful, not just wonderful, but really like tactical to have someone in your life that is supporting you at that very, very high level.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I'm so supporting you and all of your work. It's amazing. So yes. So happy.
Anything else you'd like to share with us before I go into the next portion of today?
I just think encouraging all of you that, for me, this is not a sign up for this program. This is not this conversation. Like this conversation is about, if you are in this group, there is a reason, and you really need to reflect on that. And if you need help working through those questions, reach out to Evelina or the Dreamwalker concierge. No question is a silly question, because even the question you ask will reveal something. And I just encourage you to explore this, because there's just a reason. When I met you, I literally, I had no idea that all of this obviously was going to unfold, but there was just something that interests me. I had no idea why. And so pay attention to those interests, and you will be so thrilled and happy that you did. So that's my parting line.
Thank you so much for sharing so much. You're such an inspiration. You are always so generous. You are so giving. You are such a bright light that it's just such an honor that you came here to inspire all the women. And I'm sure they're all tingling. I'm tingling right now, so that everyone could just be empowered. We're just helping you make the right decision for you. Because like Stacy said, staying indecision is very wishy-washy, and the universe will just send you wishy-washy results. Nobody wants that. No fun.
No, none of that. Thank you. This is amazing.
Thank you so much, Stacy, for being with us here today. So we will say goodbye. So much love, so many blessings. Thank you so much.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye. Such a gift to have Stacy here with us today. And I just actually realized I completely forgot to announce yesterday's winner, Elma Ra. Please contact your Dreamwalker concierge for posting your gorgeous bio yesterday. I've read every single one. The team has read every single one. And just to remind you, all the replays are in the guides. You're receiving emails. Everything will come down Tuesday night. I know a lot of you are going to binge watch over the weekend because it's been a very busy week. But stay with us here until Tuesday. You will continue to have really incredible breakthroughs. So I want to go back to actually page 9 on the workbook. We were talking so much with Stacy about activating her own strands of DNA, and I want to reiterate the first step, which is commanding. I taught this, I want to remind you, commanding. And also the true essence of women where we perform best is in flow. And Stacy so eloquently was sharing with you how the grit of the 7-figure real estate business has transformed into completely different paradigm of flow. So before we get to the last part of today's teaching, I know some of you have been asking more questions about the Mystique Elite. So I just want to go over that one more time so that you can really take this in and what it really means for you and all the logistics that are involved. So by joining the Mystique Elite, again, this is not a mastermind. I share the days of the mastermind are over. I was guided to start the Mystique Elite for high-powered women entrepreneurs because we need to have it all combined. The spiritual, the business, the feminine, all in one place. And we share sacred teachings with you that are coming through us. Like Evelina shared, is happening for Stacy, several of our clients, that when their DNA is being activated, they're having access to teachings, to knowings that have been dormant in their soul. So it's really about remembering who you really are, what your superpowers are, and operating from this 5th dimensional unfair advantage that Stacy shared with you. Kate, if you didn't watch this morning, the replay is there. Watch Kate's super inspiring story as well. What else is in there for you? Up-leveling every area of your life. When you receive high-level coaching, when you receive channeling, everything, your success is truly inevitable. That means up-leveling your pricing. We know so many of you want that. We know so many of you are actually striving for the 8-figure bliss and flow, and navigating all of that with ease and grace so that you can create this exponential change in the world, because your time is now. Your time is now. And what we're giving you through Mystique is literally a 5th dimensional GPS spiritual guidance system so that you can navigate through the tricks of the 3rd dimension and all the traps of the stress, the traps of, I don't know where the money is coming from. I could go on over and over about how many times I've made a leap of faith, like Stacy shared, being at the cliff, feeling like there's no net to catch me, making a big investment in my business, in myself, and immediately being rewarded, and a lot more money coming in, a lot more fulfillment coming in. And this is what's available for you in our sacred soul society. We know you're here because you want to be a category of 1. That is what you're moving into. And we're devoted to your success. So just to go through the logistics, Mystique is a year-long program. We have 2 retreats, and that's why the time is ticking, because our first Mystique retreat is happening April 25th and 26th in Sedona. But in your year-long program, you actually get a 2nd retreat, which will be happening in September. What we do at those retreats, accelerate all the house cleaning, that bubble that Stacy was talking about, and of course, everything that we know, and we keep on getting downloads on how to accelerate your DNA activation. That's one part. And of course, we have all our calls. We have our business esoteric training calls. You have your 5D attunement calls. So when you're falling down into the trap We can bring you back up really quickly. You have alchemy coaching, where we're two minds, Ed and I, are coming in and channeling into the universal mind for you, so that, like Kate was saying this morning, you have instantaneous changes happening for you. So those are all the calls we have every month. It's going to be 4 calls a month, and you get your personal 5D attunement advisor, because we know some things are really raw, some things are vulnerable that you need to work through one-on-one, and we want you to have that love, that care, and that support. And of course, we created a Facebook group where everybody's supporting each other. We're in there daily, so that you don't fall through the cracks. And you will have a completely different experience, not just of your life, not just of your business. You know, Stacy can say it, but I'll share with you. There's 2 most common compliments that we get from clients. One is that they've done their rounds of coaches, and some of these are very well-known coaches in the industry, and they've learned key pieces that have allowed them to reach a certain level of success, and they still felt that something was missing, and now they have found the missing piece working with us. Why? Not because we're special, it's because we're tuning into the unseen world of energy and frequency that goes way beyond the mindset, way beyond the strategy, and we're giving all that to you. The second most common compliment that we get is that our clients are experiencing freedom, true freedom, for the first time in their lives. That they really feel completely self-expressed. Their relationships are improving. They're in love with life. They're in love with what they're doing. And you just saw it from Kate and Stacy today. And more of our clients will be coming on through the weekend, you know, to share so many inspiring stories with you of how they're so excited about their lives, the impacts they're creating, what they're setting up. We have clients that are in different stages. So I really encourage you to watch all of these, because these testimonials, these interviews, because these women are no different than you. They were in your shoes, you know, like Stacy. This was less than a year ago that we started working together, and her life is, utterly and completely transformed. But she also felt the nervousness and the fear inside. The difference is she didn't let that stop her. Kate, we shared that this morning, all the bumps and the hiccups that started when she said yes to Mystique, and she did not let that stop her. So let's talk about fear for a moment, because I want to give you some coaching and some perspective on this. Fear is a total third-dimensional paradigm. It is the subconscious mind, the ego, wanting you to stay small. Basically what it says is, do not rock the boat. Everything needs to stay the same, because that's how you can feel safe, right? So I want to reframe that. What if you could feel the fear and at the same time the excitement, because you know it, you can feel it if this is something that you want to do, that you want to be part of this up-leveled group that we have of women. I know you can feel it. So what if you could reframe the fear and listen to your guidance where there's excitement, and reframe it to, what is possible for me? What is that ultimate reward of me activating my superhuman feminine potential? And therefore, tap into all of my power. Kate said that this morning. We need you in your leadership. We need you in your power. We need you in that ripple effect. And your family, your friends need you being happy, need you being fulfilled, your partner, your husband. We know that you want to have that super fulfilled relationship. And I can tell you, because I'm super proud of this, that in all the years that we've been working with clients, when they're saying yes to their iconic work, when they're doing the work, the universe is always showing up to meet them. And I've seen over and over and over so many relationships being healed, relationships with self, relationships with the partner. And this is a key piece that I want to reiterate, because I've seen this a lot with women, and I went through this myself when I kept on hitting glass ceilings. I wanted more. Super high achieving, Just to give you a picture, Ivy League school, graduated #1 in my class, always wanted to be the best of the best. Apparently it's in my DNA makeup, okay? And I felt like something was missing. Therefore, I did not feel good about myself. So even though I was striving for more, inside of me, I didn't feel enough. So you can put all the effort out there to create what you want to create when you're not feeling good about yourself. It doesn't work. And so that's why we do that really deep inner work of the cleansing so that you get to feel good about yourself. And I have something else I want to say that's really important, teaching. That is that most of you in the workshop have 2 strands of DNA. Some of you have 3, maybe a few more. But most people have a major distortion with their second strand that affects their emotional body. Therefore, they call in and feel a lot of drama, fear, and uncertainty in your life. So this is one of the things that immediately needs to get cleared. The particular thing about the third strand, the distortion, is that that controls the mental body, and the way it shows up if there's distortions in the third strand is through thoughts and patterns of self-sabotage. So this is what we do in the Mystique Elite. Again, it's a year-long program, and let's talk about the investment before I wrap this up with the last piece of the homework. So the investment through Tuesday night is $33,000. It will go up after Tuesday. We have an early bird registration. If you sign up by Saturday, the end of the day, you will get $3,000 off. So the investment will be $30,000. And if you choose to pay in full, $27,000. So if you sign up, pay in full by Saturday, the end of the day, you're saving $6,000. And there's also a paid in full bonus, which is a VIP session with Ed and me on demystifying quantum mindset. Another bonus that I shared yesterday that we've been called to share with you is that when you sign up for Mystique, first of all, you get immediate, you're in. We have our call next Thursday, April 8th, and you also want to sign up right away because we're doing our first retreat April 25th, and you want to make all your arrangements to be here because you need to be here. But another piece that we were called to give you as a bonus is all of the past calls from the last 2 months. And I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. I'm not surprised that we were called to do that because we want everybody that's coming in to quickly raise their vibration, to begin the activation process, the releasing process, so that everyone can be calibrated at the same place by the time that we get together here in Sedona, April 25th and 26th. And our retreats, well, you're going to hear from some of our clients. They're not just profound in the transformation. We have a lot of fun as women together. And I just can't say enough about that. One thing I will say is don't wait until Tuesday midnight to sign up. The cart closes. And if you're on the fence and you want to talk to us, let us know right away. Fill out the application so that we can get on a call with you and don't leave this till last minute and say on Wednesday I still want to sign up when the price has gone up. We are here for you. Mystique is by application only. I said that yesterday. We will post the link again because we take very seriously who our members are and what you are here to do in the world. So we're super eager and excited to read your applications. And if you're a yes, I'm ready to go, you'll just put it there and we'll get you all signed up. You'll have your recordings. You can set up your call with your 5D attunement advisor. You can have all of that immediately, like now. Okay, so let's wrap up this piece of the homework if you're not excited already. And you were thinking about that ultimate reward, and I really want you to take that in. My ultimate reward is to see the transformation that happens in your life. And I want to share something kind of vulnerable. Maybe I'll go into it more tomorrow because there's not a whole lot of time today. But most of my life, I felt like I didn't fit in, and that I worked harder than everybody else, and that I was beautiful, talented, intelligent, and why didn't I have a partner? Why wasn't I married? So I'll let you know, I was in an abusive relationship. I call that in for a very specific reason. All part of my learning. But again, that put me down. All these things put me down, even though on the outside it looked like I was freaking successful. And I can tell you that I have never felt as happy as I do now. I could have never dreamed of the life that I live now. If back in 2008, when I left architecture, when I got run over by a car, somebody would have told me, like, what do you imagine your life being 10, 20 years from now? There's no way I could have imagined this. I didn't even know a career like this existed. Why? Again, because you're a category of one. That's why you don't fit into the mold. This is about your own blueprint for success. And my life right now is beyond anything I could dream of. That's what Stacy was sharing with you today. So what is the ultimate reward for you? And we know the challenges. We know that, there's things that are going to come up. And that's why we're here to support you. There's emotional things that are going to come up. There are going to be hidden things that come up. And they're all here to test you. Are you going to stay on course? Are you truly going to fulfill those commitments that you've so beautifully? I mean, we're so honored to see how you're sharing your commitments. We're creating this sacred container for you to fulfill these commitments. So this brings us to the last question. What kind of strategy and support do you want to put in place? Can you put in place now to be ahead of the game as you're activating your 12 strands of DNA? Because this is the key piece. If you put those in place now, you really are ahead of the game. Because when those challenges come, when the tests come, it's not like the rug is being pulled out from under you. So, 12 strands of DNA activation, just to sum it up, clarity, harmony, and those codes. That is how you lock this in. Doing that ecstatic joy that you want to lock in is that you're recognizing the patterns and the programs. I know you have been throughout the workshop. And that you continue to stay on path saying, I am going to do what brings me joy. That is my compass. And when you're out of joy, you're either hiring someone to bring that in or looking at this so that you don't get off track. This is how you lock in the fifth dimensional paradigm. Respond instead of react. We're talking about that so much throughout the whole week about how to put this in neutral and releasing the drama. Oh my goodness, when I was called out on this, that I was addicted to drama, you can believe that I did not like at all to hear that. I was making it personal. Then I realized it's part of the social indoctrination to be addicted to drama, and that's what immediately pulls you into the vortex that brings your vibrational frequency down. So the fifth dimension is a win-win consciousness versus win-lose, up, down, up, down, up, down. So consider what the consequences of that are for you. And what is your weakest link? That is where we want to help you. What are your blind spots? Get on the call with us. We're here to support you. Really, and you'll see, our team is not salesy at all. We want to support you in making the best decision for you. Again, Mystique is not a mastermind. We are on a path of evolution, of creating a ripple effect and lifting everyone up that's in Mystique so that they can claim their position, their higher purpose iconic work, and of course, activate the 12 strands of DNA in the process, move to the 8-figure bliss and flow. All of that is waiting for you. And we are here with open arms, so eager, and truly honored that you're considering joining us in this incredible circle that we have of such generous, big-hearted, women. So tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, we continue, and this is your opportunity. We are doing a live Q&A session. Bring all your questions, post them there. We've been compiling them. Bring them there tomorrow. We're going to be going through every single one. You will also be meeting a couple more clients. Listen to their stories. They're truly, truly, truly courageous, inspirational, devotional. I mean, all the pieces are there for you. And we continue through Tuesday. There's a lot of bonus teachings happening where you're still going to get so much more, so much up-leveling. Keep in this vibration. Don't let the distractions come in, because you are up to something really, really big, and we are here for you. I will leave you with that, and so excited for tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific. So much love. Thank you so much for being with us here today. So many blessings. Bye-bye.